What's up, Dynasty Fantasy Footballers? This is Generate Talent. I'm here to help you navigate the space in the offseason. We just finished the Super Bowl yesterday with the Seahawks becoming victorious, like a high percentage of people thought they would. Drake May didn't really get off the bus. But on to who's in the picture, who's in the thumbnail here, who's that Pokemon? We're back in the tight end landscape here. And I told you guys that I'm taking Kyle Pitts at 5 before I take Fannin. Before I take a lot of those other players after Loveland and Warren, Bowers, and McBride. Okay, I'm taking Pitts 5. But this person that we're going to be talking about, I'm going to take 6. And even ahead of Pitts at points, probably take Pitts 75% of the time. And this player, the other 25% of the time, just to diversify a little bit. You know, injuries happen and you don't want to take yourself out of all of your leagues based on one player or one big injury. But here we go. So my tight end 6. We're going to release the picture. Let it go. Raise the colors. Wow. Okay. That's the 26-year-old tight end, Dalton Kincaid, out of Las Vegas, like the kid. But there are some things that are obviously red flags with Kincaid, right? He has injury history, along with being on the backside of your younger tight ends. So no longer of interest for those teams that build with just 22 and 23-year-olds. But, I mean, my 2 championship teams last year had a lot of veterans on the team. You got to have vets to win, too. So this guy, not quite a vet, entering the prime years of tight end starts. Here we go. I'm going to throw up that chart again. So as you can see, 26, 119% of PPR points are scored at the 26th year. It hasn't even, you dip around 31 years old and after. He still has a good 5-6 prime years ahead of him, Lord willing, with the health and stuff like that. So something exciting to look at, 25, 26-year-old tight ends. We're talking Pitts at 25. We're talking Kincaid at 26. Things we're looking forward to. Just see more of a learning curve with Fannin and those guys that are 21, 22. They're just, sophomore walls that they hit. Pitts hit it a couple times with the injury and all of that. So we're looking at Kincaid, who's been in the league. He was a first-round pick in 2023. He's a 25th pick. So first-round talent, that's a big thing, too. If draft capital is key. So I'm going to drop the tight end chart. We know 26-year-old tight ends, this is when it starts to really come together. But the thing is, with Kincaid, it's already come together, right? One crazy stat here from Sleeper says Kincaid was 3rd in NFL in yards per route run. We know he missed like 5 games, right? But yards per route run trailed only JSN and Puka, who are the top 2 targets for next year, right? So unbelievable there. I'm going to drop that again. And Kincaid just has a ton of these little tweets where it's like, what if, he's definitely one of those guys. So let's look at keep trade cuts, top 12 for tight ends. And we got Trey McBride coming in at 1. Bowers at 2. Obviously, you know where I'm at with that. I like Bowers ahead of McBride. And I'm actually surprised they have Warren at 3 because I thought that was a hot take from me. But it looks like that's where he is, ahead of Loveland. I just thought with all the postseason stuff with Loveland, they would put him ahead of Warren. But no, this is pretty much my chart. I got Bowers at 1. I got McBride at 2. Warren 3. Loveland 4. Pitts 5. And Kincaid 6. Okay. Just with Harold Fannin and the youth, I think there's going to be a couple of learning curve years, Tucker Kraft coming off the ACL, Sam Laporta, a back injury. That's real scary to navigate as well. Gadsden's got the size for sure. A lot of tools in that offense for Mike McDaniel. So outside of the top 4, I'm taking Pitts ahead of Kincaid 75% of the time, but the other 25% of the time, I'll probably take Kincaid just to diversify. All right. And then Kittle, the injury as well. So that top 6 in tight ends is really where it's at right now. This is another crazy one from 2025. You see Kincaid's first in target rate, yards per route run, first downs per route run, fantasy points per route run. So when he's on the field, he's the best tight end out there. I mean, based on what we see here, yards per target, target premium, passer rating per target, and deep target share. All things we want to see. Keep in mind, though, he was the number 1 option in this offense. They're going to go shopping this offseason. I know we've said it before in the previous seasons, but I think A.J. Brown comes in, or someone of that talent pool, and Kincaid probably becomes the number 2 target, but that could help as well. Okay, so actually what I recommend if you're trying to get Dalton Kincaid, wait until they sign that big-time receiver so his value drops even more. And that's when you scoop in, bring up the injury history, you know, and bring up all those things that kind of scare people about this amazing talent at tight end. First round talent, don't forget. Just a crazy stats behind this guy and the what ifs. So here we go, 26 years old. And here's another one from 2.5, right? We had tight end yards and targets per route run in 25 is a minimum 50 targets. You see Kincaid far and away the best on the chart. So you see a lot of our favorites in the 1.8 range, right? You have McBride, you have Pitts, Bowers. They're all in that same, you know, average range. You have Kittle and Loveland a little ahead of them, and then Kincaid just running away here. So when he's on the field, could be your best option. And drafting him as the 6th tight end off the board, getting a great value. And you just need him to be healthy the right half of the season, right? So as long as you're playoff bound, if he's healthy that second half of the season, you're getting top tier talent. So that's another thing to think with Dalton Kincaid here. Last thing I want to look at. This is where we're at. You had my terrible trade there. No, it wasn't terrible. I mean, I won the championship off it, but I did trade Kincaid and Jahan Dotson for George Kittle and Tonjes. Tonjes was actually the highest scorer in my championship, which is crazy. So I guess, yeah, that was a good trade. It paid off. But now I'm trying to get Kincaid again, and it's just like pulling teeth. You know how it is when you're going after a player that other people are hyped on too. But the important note on the right side, it says Dalton Kincaid not expected to require offseason surgery. That was said 11 days ago. And he played with a torn PCL, which is nuts. That came out from that came out from Dawson Knox. That, yeah, his tight end counterpart, Dalton Kincaid, played with a torn PCL, which is 2 years in a row. With those leg injuries, it's kind of scary. But it says he should be healthy without the surgery heading into the Bills offseason program. You know they're going to add a receiver, Keon Coleman. Golly, I'm so glad I shipped him away. But again, could be a buy window for him. I just don't know. He just doesn't seem mature enough to play on this team. They're about ready to knock on the door to start winning, and he's, you know, getting caught in the club when it was supposed to be a family emergency. That's a rumor. That's allegedly. You could look at it. It's on Twitter as well. But looking at these 3 years that Dalton Kincaid had, right? Right around, for average purposes, you could say about like 530 yards on average. Really burst out this year with 5 touchdowns. 2025 is on top, but also did it in less games. So you had 12 games this year, missing 5 games, which is key. You could sprinkle in another couple touchdowns there and, you know, another 300 yards, and you're right in the mix. You're, you know, tight end too. So something to think about. I think this guy definitely has to be on your radar, especially as the Bills probably add their big time wide receiver that comes in, whoever it may be. I'm betting my chips on AJ Brown. Just get out of the NFC into the AFC. You never trade interdivision, so probably ship him far away to Buffalo where they wouldn't see him unless it's a Super Bowl. And I'm all systems go on Kincaid, but I am pumping the brakes, waiting for Buffalo to add a receiver so I can go scoop this guy up when his value is the lowest. Pretty low right now, but I think this guy's value is even going to dip lower, and we could score with Buffalo adding a receiver in the offseason. Well, thank you for watching. This has been Generate Talent. I appreciate you guys as I start to build this content. I'll see you tomorrow with some brand new stuff. Maybe I'll get out of the tight end realm. Are you guys getting sick of tight ends? Because my 2 favorite tight ends, Kyle Pitts, my number 5 tight end for 2026, and Dalton Kincaid, number 6 for 2026. That's Dalton Kincaid. We're out. Generate Talent. Peace.